Hello everybody, my name is Claire Barner and I'm the Head of Philosophy, Ethics and Religious Studies here at Wyke Sixth Form College. I am really disappointed that I won't be able to meet all of you at Wyke Start, but obviously in the current situation it's just not possible to run an event like we normally would do. However, it's really important that you do some work to prepare for your start in September. As well as the PowerPoint here, in the section for Philosophy, Ethics and Religious Studies, you will find an information booklet, an essay plan, and also a document that lists a number of activities, books, online resources that you can access in preparation for A-Level Philosophy, Ethics and Religious Studies. So here at Wyke, we study the OCR exam board for Philosophy, Ethics and Religious Studies. You will be doing 3 exams at the end of 2022, and those 3 exams follow the 3 components: Philosophy of Religion, Ethics and Religious Studies. And here at Wyke, we follow the Christian Theology section of Religious Studies. There are 2 key skills that you have to demonstrate to examiners. That is AO1, which is knowledge and understanding, and AO2, which is critical analysis or evaluation. As you can see, evaluation, the ability to pull apart an argument, offer an opinion, offer critical analysis, is worth 60%. So it's really important that you don't just know the ideas, but that you are also able to evaluate those ideas. Okay, so here is a list of the different topics that we study at A-Level Philosophy, Ethics and Religious Studies, and you can see that in Year 1 and Year 2 we do some philosophy, some ethics and some Christian theology. Alright, so we cover part of the philosophy component in Year 1 and the second part in Year 2, and the same with ethics and the Christian theology section, which is our religious studies part of the course. For your Year 11 transition work, we're going to be studying an aspect of a topic from Year 2, the challenge of secularism. We're going to be looking in particular at the thinking of Freud and Dawkins and Marchant. It's really important that you complete all of these tasks and that you hand these tasks in, preferably at enrolment. These tasks will allow me to give you some feedback on your note-taking skills and on your essay writing skills, and it allows me to just see where you are and where you need help and support. So these tasks are really, really important. I ask all of my students every year to do these activities. The only difference is that you're not getting that Wyke Start experience where I take you through and we study it in class over a couple of lessons. So that's why I'm doing this little commentary, to try and help support you complete these tasks by yourself at home. Right, so one of the key questions in the challenge of secularism and secularisation is the idea of whether or not religion is bad for us. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to have a think about whether you think religion is dangerous. Is it something that has a negative effect on people and on society? And just try and give me one reason why you think that's the case. One of the key scholars we look at in this topic is Richard Dawkins. Now, Richard Dawkins is an atheist, and he is definitely of the opinion that religion is dangerous. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to click on the link and watch the YouTube video. And as you're watching, just jot down a few points about what Dawkins says about religion, religious believers, science and the scientific method. And this will help you add some extra points to your essay at the end once you've studied a little bit more about Dawkins. So your learning objectives for these tasks are on the slide here, And all of these tasks that you're going to be doing are working towards demonstrating that you've achieved these 2 learning objectives, particularly the essay that is the final task. So all these little tasks that you're going to be doing build up towards being able to write an essay. You can't just go in and write that essay. You need to do the little tasks building up to the essay. This is where you're going to get the information from. So first of all, these tasks and the essay at the end are going to show me that you are able to explain the thinking of these 3 key scholars. And secondly, that you're able to evaluate whether religious belief has a negative effect on human beings in society. So you're using these thinkers and your own ideas to decide whether or not this is the case, that religious belief is a bad thing for society and for human beings as individuals as well. Now on the bottom of the slide, you'll see a yellow box. Now in that yellow box is what we call a specification note. So this is what the exam board gives me as a teacher, so that I know exactly what to teach you. And as you can see from the first point, it says the views of Freud and Dawkins. So because Freud and Dawkins are named on the specification, you can get a question that asks specifically about one of those 2 scholars. All right, so we have to make sure that we cover those ideas that are on the specification. So the rest of this PowerPoint and the information in the booklet that goes with this PowerPoint is going to take you through your Year 11 transition work. So you're going to be looking at the thinking of these 3 scholars, Freud, Dawkins and Marchant. You're going to complete some mini tasks to help you get to grips with their arguments, and then you're going to be using these arguments along with any other arguments and evidence you can find through your own research and that you can think of for yourself to answer this following essay question. Society would be happier without religion because it's infantile, repressive and causes conflict. So in particular, the idea that it's infantile and repressive comes from Freud, and the idea that it causes conflict comes from Dawkins, and he would probably agree that it's infantile and repressive as well. All right? So the first task that you're going to be doing is a note-taking task. Note-taking is incredibly important in a subject like philosophy, ethics and religious studies, where there is a lot of content for us to get through, and you have to be able to pull out key information and assemble it together and create your own notes that you understand. And it's a skill that you'll find really useful when you go to university as well. So your first task is to read through the information in the booklet about Freud and Dawkins and to make your own notes. Now, subheadings can be really helpful, bullet points, so that the work is clearly identifiable as whose ideas belong to who. Task 2, I'd like you to think about whether or not you agree with these ideas. So it's important that you get used to justifying your opinion. It's not enough to just assert what you think. You have to explain why you think that, and you have to justify your opinion. So do you agree with the thinking of Freud or Dawkins? That's your second task. Task 3 is to look at the opposing perspective, and this comes from Joe Marchant. So read through the information in the booklet about Marchant's perspective, and again, make some notes under a heading that makes it clear that you're writing about Marchant and that this is a perspective that is positive about the role of religion in society and in individual people's lives. Task 4 is another evaluative task. What you need to do is you need to decide whether or not you think Joe Marchant's perspective represents a significant challenge to the thinking of Freud and Dawkins. It's important that you don't just assert your opinion. You need to explain why you think that. For task 5, you need to have another look in your booklet, and you're looking for the section entitled does Christianity have a negative effect on human beings and society? So in this section of the notes, there are various points, some that agree with this idea that Christianity is a cause of personal and social problems, and other arguments that say, no, it's not actually, it's beneficial to people and it's beneficial to society. So create a table in your notes, like the one on the slide, and as you read through the material in the booklet, make a note of those points that agree and disagree with this idea. So you've collected lots of arguments for and against the idea that religion and religious belief has a negative effect on human beings and society. For task 6, I'd like you to pick out the strongest argument either for or against this idea. Essentially the argument or point you agree with the most or that you think is the best. This is really important because you're going to be able to use this as what we call your thesis statement for your essay. Okay, so we're on to the final task, which is your essay. Society would be happier without religion because it is infantile, repressive, and causes conflict. Discuss. All right? Use all the information, arguments, evidence, and ideas that you've gathered in the mini tasks. And if you've done any extra research, fantastic. Use all of these ideas to help you answer this question. Along with the PowerPoint and the booklet, there was also a mini plan to help you answer this question. It requires you to use at least 4 paragraphs, all right, to answer this question. So an introduction, a paragraph either for and against, and then the opposite argument, and then finally a conclusion. It's really important that you don't just assert opinions, you need to justify opinions, you need to evaluate the thinking of Freud, Dawkins and Marchant, not just explain their ideas, but also say whether you agree with them or not and why. Good luck with your essay, and I look forward to reading your work in September and to finally meeting you all.